New Beginnings at the IFCO-TV, IFCO booth. And
hello.
Hello. Yep, you don't even need to pull that up.
Are they good?
Oh, they are awesome.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
right,
Liam does a lot of things.
We've been having a blast all day long talking with great chiropractors.
Hey, where is my book?
We're going to continue that program. I know you guys are waiting with bated breath a bit for these characters who just showed up, but Liam's been here all day long, in and out, talking a bit. This is Jack Bourla, who is an awesome West Coast chiropractor out visiting the East Coast.
That's right.
New Beginnings. Have you ever been to New Beginnings?
First time New Beginnings.
All right, a
awesome.
newbie.
Welcome.
I'm a newbie.
I'm Frank Hahn with the co-host, the beautiful Bryn Gillow.
Yes,
and so we're going to be interviewing or having conversations with the big deal, Liam Schubel.
Thank you.
We have to come up with a nickname for Jack. Do you have a nickname?
A dealette. I'm a
dealette. Okay, and the dealette, Jack Bourla.
Jack the Ripper's not working too well.
I see time with that.
Here's what we're doing, guys. The people at home can reach us via Twitter, hashtag IFCO. If you have any questions for these guys up here, please send it in right away. That way we can ask it live while they're here. And then also send out to your friends who are on Facebook and the other social media places. The web address is IFCOChiro.org/live, LIVE. All right, guys. So we're just going to jump right in. And thanks for coming out, IFCO-TV. You guys are both on board members. Jack, you're the newest board member, so why don't we, if it's all right with you, Liam, start with Jack?
Yes. Where's my Pellegrino, by the way? I left the Pellegrino over here.
Right here.
He needs his bottle.
Yep. I've been taking good care of the Pellegrino.
He's had a bottle fed his whole life.
I didn't spike it at all. Yep.
Why is this yellow?
Well, that's the wrong bottle.
Oh, jeez.
No, it's the right bottle.
Hey, we can't leave here. This is a dedicated job, so you know you have to just.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Yeah, don't leave empty bottles by us. Jack, so you're on the board now of IFCO. I wrote down the question. What does that mean to you? Let's start there.
It means a superior obligation to chiropractic. I believe that as a board member, it's our job to withhold the principles of chiropractic to make sure that they are well. To make sure. What was your question again?
Why is it important to be on the board?
I want to be as close to Liam Schubel as possible.
You can't get much closer
at all the time. Because I'm going to where the puck is going.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yep. I'm like Wayne Gretzky. Thank you.
Of chiropractic.
No, I believe firmly that the IFCO is the organization, the international organization that really stands for chiropractic. And in order to be effective, all areas of our nation certainly represented, and so I've taken it upon myself to represent the West Coast with a particular emphasis with the students.
Yes.
That's great.
And together we work on the committee with the students. I think that if the future of chiropractic is to be what it can, that the young leaders will be emerging, and we need to make sure that they are well trained, well supported, and well mentored. And that's my main goal for the IFCO.
Absolutely, that's perfect. And I feel the same way. I know Liam does too. We're all on the board or the committee with the IFCO for the students.
Correct.
Student chapters all around. Our goal is to have a student chapter on each campus of every chiropractic college around the world.
Right.
So if you're watching us and you are on a chiropractic campus without an IFCO chapter yet, what are you waiting for? You get all of this mentor. More benefits of the student chapters. Maybe we can talk a little bit about that. That's something I didn't plan on talking, but since we brought it up,
why not?
Yeah, why not?
Let's do it.
Let's talk about it. So, the student chapter.
Well, yeah, you know, student chapters now. We started with 0, I think, about a year ago, and you know, the students have really responded with like wildfire. We have 16 now student members, chapters throughout the world. And this is the next generation of leaders. These are the people that are going to be ensuring that your son Evan and my son and daughter and my new daughter coming are going to be able to get checked and adjusted for vertebral subluxation. So it's vital. This is a vital thing to set up the next generation of leaders. Some of the benefits, well, I know you guys have probably mentioned that September 21st and 22nd in the Dominican Republic, we're having the 3rd annual Global Summit, which is going to be fantastic. You know, the first one was in Lima, Peru. The second one was in Edinburgh, Scotland last year, and now we're down to the Dominican Republic, which you know, except for the sand, the Caribbean waters and things, it's going to be nice. You know?
Except for that.
You know, so that, but one of the benefits that it's really a no-brainer right off the bat. If it was just for this, like, you sign up for the IFCO, it's $50 as a student. Correct. And your admission to this event is free. It's free.
Yes.
Right off the top. So right off the top, you're actually making money by signing up for the IFCO if you went to the Global Summit. The second thing that we identified, and Frank, you've been very helpful with this, was we have to equip the next generation of leaders with the skills necessary to explain the value of chiropractic in a cash-based environment, because that's where we're going. You mentioned Wayne Gretzky, the skating to where the puck is going. Unfortunately, in many schools nowadays, the students are learning a system that worked beautifully in the 1980s. Okay, so and that's why we're seeing such a high default rate on loans. Is the students are graduating, they think they're getting all the information that they need in school to learn how to be successful. Because that would make sense, wouldn't it?
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, that's not the truth, and so they need to get it from somewhere. And Frank has stepped up, and I think, Frank, your elevator speech is probably one of the greatest elevator speeches I've seen on the planet. He has a whole system on how to do spinal screenings that you just said, oh, they need it, here it is, it's all here. And it has a video, it has step-by-step exactly what you do. We are in the process now of organizing these live, what is it, Skype or Google events that take place. Google Hangout. And there's an app that you, when you sign up as a student leader, there's an app that you get that goes right onto your computer, and in real time or in any time,
whenever you want to watch it,
you can watch some of the greatest chiropractic success stories talking to you about how they become successful. What are the communication strategies that they use in the office? How do they create value with their practice members? How do they create these lifetime chiropractic practices? How do they take care of children? Right. You know, how does this happen? Because certainly this is not being taught in the average curriculum in the average chiropractic school. So we wanted to create chiropractic, like what we call almost chiropractic paratroopers, right? You know, if we train them well enough while they're in school, our IFCO students, they will graduate, and we can basically push them out of a plane with a parachute anywhere on the planet, and they will come out with their pisiforms blazing, and they'll be part of this solution to take over the world with tick.
I like that image.
There's 7 billion people on this planet that need chiropractic care. Right. We don't have enough people to meet those needs, and the people that we have are weak. They have not been trained, and so that's one of the IFCO's this global 2025 mission that they have, is to train the next generation of chiropractic leaders and creating this new culture of chiropractic. Right. You know, and we'll, as this interview progresses, if you like, we could talk a little bit about that, the new culture of chiropractic.
Yeah, absolutely. I was sharing with Bryn before, it's our whole generation. We were standing on the shoulders of the chiropractors that came before us. Now the future generation is going to be standing on our shoulders, and are we leaving it in a better place or a worse place? And I like to think that we're moving in a direction to lead them into a better place than you know. At one point we're going to have to retire. I guess at one point in our lives, it's either die or retire. Right. One of the two is going to happen eventually. And so we need to leave the profession in a better place. And it's events like this, New Beginnings, Lyceum, and the many events that you go to and that you guys attend that are helping the students and the newer practitioners elevate and get to that next level. Yeah.
And even more frequently than the events, because it's a day-to-day thing. So our hope is that, in terms of the students, that we're there as often as they'll have us. With each club that there is on each campus, we're happy to go and provide any kind of discussions they want. And there's no reason that we shouldn't be able to get every student on every campus to become an IFCO member.
Absolutely, and you know, the thing is, we have to create this new culture in chiropractic, Jack, because as you well know, we inherited pretty much, you know, in some way, a profession that's in a shambles, that's in a disaster. You know, they were trained to be neuromuscular practitioners in an insurance-rich environment. And then the insurance company pulled that away from them, and now they don't know who they are, what they're doing, or why, and certainly they're not getting paid for their services because they haven't been able to, or taught how to create value for chiropractic. In addition, what we see, and we see this on student campuses, and we see it with the profession at large, there's a level of apathy, you know, and one of my mentors in life was Dr. Fred Barge. He was famous for quoting himself.
Correct.
So I developed a quote, if you could believe this, for myself.
I would never believe that, but if you say it, it must be true.
Would you be so kind to share that quote with us?
Thank you, Bryn.
Thank you for asking, Bryn.
This quote, and you're going to probably want to write this down.
Yes. Well, it's being recorded.
At this point in the profession, at this point in the chiropractic profession, apathy will mean allopathy for the chiropractic profession. So we can't allow that to happen. We cannot allow that. We have the ball, and we're either going to drop it or we're going to do something about it and take it to the end goal. So the culture in the past for principled chiropractors, for doctors of chiropractic that focused on the analysis, detection, and correction of vertebral subluxation. You used to say, oh, you're a principled chiropractor? Sure I am. Well, how do you define that? Well, I tell the chiropractic story. I tell people about innate intelligence. I adjust them. And then I adjust them, right? So there's two things. I tell the chiropractic story and I adjust. That's no longer enough, okay? Because while you're telling the chiropractic story and adjusting, there's two other things that are killing us in the profession. They're leading us to this allopathy. One is our chiropractic schools are weak. The principal chiropractic schools are not burgeoning yet with the next generation of chiropractors. And so the numbers are off. We're getting flooded with this cancer of chiropractic, these students that are graduating that have no idea who they are, what they do, or why. And it's a numbers game. If we can fill the principal chiropractic schools with students, well then we are going to start to graduate the majority of the profession. And once we have the majority of the profession, which I believe we have now, it's just a question of the apathy. Right. But if we can graduate the next generation of chiropractors in mass, in huge numbers, well then we're going to be what's called normal. Right. And that's the whole thing. Once again, I do believe we are the norm, but apathy is also the norm. So we've got to, and part of the mission that 2025 that the IFCO has is to start encouraging and teaching doctors of chiropractic and the students, how do you refer somebody to school? You know, right. Dr. Sid Williams, the founder of Life University, he had a quote, and that was, one of the saddest things in life is to see a youth with no purpose. And how many people do we come across day in and day out that are just going through the motions in life? They really have nothing that drives them. And you ask them, what is it that you'd really like to do? I don't know, but I know I'd like to help people. Oh, you'd like to help people? You know, you might make an excellent chiropractor. Yeah. Here's some information for Sherman College. You know, here's some information for Life. Here's some information for Life West, for Parker. You know, here's some information that could give you a life and a purpose. And so we've got to start not only just talking about the subluxation, innate intelligence, and adjusting, but we've got to start talking about creating the next generation of leaders by opening our mouth and saying, look, there's an opportunity here. You might not have known about it. I'm going to give you a life. Ready? Let's go with this new purpose. And then the fourth thing in this new culture that we're creating is to get involved politically. And do you like politics?
I could care less about politics so much.
How about you, Bryn? You like politics?
Not so very much.
Interesting. How do you about Jack?
Not so much.
Okay. I don't like politics at all. You know,
look how funny we're all in it.
However, everything that we do, okay, the permission to even be here right now, the permission to serve people with chiropractic adjustment has all been determined by people that are involved in politics. Right. So if we don't like the current situation that we're in chiropractic, guess who's causing this current situation? People that were interested in politics that made the laws and the regulations and the scope and everything else. You know, our whole chiropractic educational system was created by somebody who had control of the political situation. So if we're going to change this, we've got to get involved politically. So it has to be, are you involved in the IFCO? Yes or no? If you're not involved in the IFCO, well then you're part of the problem. Right? If you keep your mouth shut and don't refer people to chiropractic schools, well then you're part of the problem. You're actually, I was talking about this weekend in New Beginnings. There's sins of commission and there's sins of omission, right? Sins of commission, we want drugs and surgery in chiropractic. That's a sin of commission. You're actively moving to create a sin. Sins of omission is, I'm not going to get involved politically because I don't like politics, right? And that's not me, right? Well, because you're doing that, the other side wins. And that's a sin. And so That's no longer acceptable. So if you're going to call yourself a principled chiropractor, if you truly want to be the change that we wish to see in the world, well, then you got to step up with more action than only telling the chiropractic story and adjusting. You've got to be actively referring people to the principled chiropractic schools, so we flood this profession with people that know who they are, what they do, and why.
Right.
And you have to be politically active, and that's where the IFCO comes in. I mean, it's just a no-brainer.
Right.
And you know, everything that you have in your life, if you're a chiropractor, is because of chiropractic. So it's about time you start giving back to this profession, and you start thinking about what kind of legacy are you going to leave in this profession.
Right.
And it's very inexpensive to join the IFCO. It's free to send students to Sherman College. It doesn't cost anything. You just open your mouth and speak, right? And
Exactly.
you tell the chiropractic story and adjust. And I think if we can get everybody on board that mission, because I think we're all in agreement that something needs to be done. But we just laid out those four action steps that you could take to be a principled chiropractor. Consider yourself a principled chiropractor, not only in talking, but in action. You start walking the walk and talking the talk.
Right.
And that's just not in this country. This is international.
That's worldwide.
This is
Worldwide.
This is applicable to any country, anywhere, and this is why we have chapters abroad.
So something cool has been happening today. All the speakers, we've been interacting back and forth, and we have a Twitter chat going. And so we have the people from around the world coming in with us, and we have, I'm not even sure how many people we have out there listening and watching us at the moment, but they had a couple of questions, or a couple of comments. So let's see what's going on. All right. Oh, so the first one is Liam Schubel. Congratulations on your new daughter.
Oh, I thank you very much. That's right.
Is that your mom again?
I didn't. It's confirmed. You know, it's a Schubel Internet.
Well, here's the thing is, you know, of course, I'm a chiropractor, so we're not into diagnosing conditions, right?
Right.
So my wife is Mr. Period now, Jack, for 7 or 8 months. And I don't want to diagnose it,
Yeah.
but I would think that
There's
that's
something
pregnancy,
going on
would you
there.
say?
As you know,
I'm thinking that's the case, and we're very excited. Next month, and I got to tell you, you know, my wife, you know, if I haven't mentioned, I'm the official director of Chiropractic World Domination,
Yes.
self-appointed, of course.
Of course.
My wife is the first lady of Chiropractic World Domination. Nothing that you see that I do here could be done without the support of my wife, and I think I speak for Jack, and I know, Frank, you have a good support system,
Yep,
and
yep.
Bryn, so do you. We are so blessed to have spouses or significant others that support us, and I mean, this is I think this is one of the crucial factors that chiropractors don't get when they're picking a spouse, or it's very vital that you pick somebody that's on board that mission, and for them to know, you have to start speaking up and saying, this is who I am, and this is what I do, and this is why, and you start saying that to the world, and you start attracting the right people into the world that make that vision happen.
correct.
We have another question from Twitter. Thank you, everybody, for sending your questions. Keep them coming. It's a hashtag IFCO, and you can find our website, IFCOchiro.org/live. So keep on sharing that on the internet. It's been going great throughout social media all day. So here's the next one. And actually, I read this question from Twitter, and you almost answered it. So let me just read it because we've been reading everybody's. What are chiropractors doing about the push for drug rights? Not sure what they mean by this question, but maybe it's that thing that came up in Mexico, New Mexico, and how did we rally to help stop that?
Yeah, I would say this is what the IFCO got involved in is we send representatives to all these states when these things happen, and we also organize petition drives, and we contact the governor, we contact the Senate or the House of Representatives in that state. Interesting thing happened in Colorado, Frank. Mm-hmm. We have there's an IFCO board member actually on the state board in Colorado. And one of the interesting things that happened when these lunatics started to push for drugs in chiropractic or injectables in chiropractic, the medical society came down on them and said, "What the heck are these chiropractors trying to do?" Because just as we would if the medical doctor said we're going to start to adjust. Actually, frankly, I'd be like, "Great, we need more help. Stop doing the other stuff." But in other words, we were going into their profession. And it was really embarrassing to the governor of Colorado that the State Board of Chiropractic Examiners had even considered this. And they weren't even just considering it, they were pushing it forward. And you know, so the IFCO is creating these positions where, when this starts to happen by these rogue chiropractic individuals in different states that are pushing for this expansion of scope, we simply contact the governor's office. And I have to tell you, every person that's on the State Board of Chiropractic Examiners, their #1 rule in the United States, their #1 rule is, do not embarrass the governor.
Wow.
And so, to me, this drugs and chiropractic thing is the perfect way to embarrass the governor.
Good point.
And so that's what we have to do. It's like when you have cockroaches and you shine the light on them, they scurry. The problem is when we're apathetic, when we're not involved, there's nobody shouting from the rooftop saying, hey, listen, what these people are doing is insane. Okay, that they're not representing chiropractic. And then the governor goes, yeah, that is insane. Who's the people on this state board that are recommending drugs and surgery and chiropractic? Let's get them out of here. They're embarrassing me as the governor of the state. So what I love about chiropractic is it's the truth, it makes sense, and people love it.
Yeah.
So if we just stick to that, it's an end game win.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the thing. But we have to get out of this apathetic route.
Right, absolutely. We've been talking with chiropractors throughout the whole day, and there was a point in the conversation where we asked the questions to get those answers out there, but we also, Bryn and I came up with a couple personal questions that we wanted to ask each guest. So I know Bryn came up with a couple good ones, so if you would ask one.
Well, the thing is, you know, Jack, I've only known you for very little time in person, a little bit longer on Facebook, but I don't know a whole lot about you, and there might be a lot of other people watching that don't know a lot about you. What got you into chiropractic? What's your driving force in chiropractic? Where's your passion at?
Great questions. I was exposed to chiropractic about 25 years ago, when one New Year's Day my wife woke up paralyzed.
Wow. Unable
to walk. Of course, we freaked out. I put her in the car, took her to the emergency room. They MRI'd her, they CAT scanned her, they injected her, they medicated her. And at about 3 o'clock after we walked out, in the exact same condition that we walked in. She was still unable to move. And when we got home, I called a friend of mine. I said, gee, you know, my wife woke up this morning, she's paralyzed. And he said, what'd you do? I said, well, we went to the hospital. He said, take her to a chiropractor. I thought, well, what's a chiropractor going to do for a paralyzed woman? He says, call my chiropractor. This is on a New Year's Day at 5:30. I called him. He said, meet me in my office. So I put her back in the car. We took her to the office. And he explained to her, what I'm going to look for is misalignments within her spine, which may be putting pressure on her nerves, affecting how her body's functioning properly. Do you agree with that? We said, fine, we'll try anything. So he adjusted her, and we walked out. And I said, holy smokes, if that can happen to her.
So you mean this time she actually walked out?
She walked out. We walked out of his office. And I said, if that can do her that much good with the condition that she was presenting with, I would like to be just checked. So I went and I got checked, and he explained again what he was going to do. And I went every 2 weeks, never missed an appointment until he passed. So he passed away. So that was my exposure to chiropractic, and then I had my own career, and I was doing my thing, and then I decided I wanted a career change at 39.
Wow.
And so at 39, I looked for and found a chiropractic college, and I applied to Palmer West and was accepted, primarily because I had a pulse and a checkbook. And I went, and the very first day that I sat in those horrible plastic chairs, I said, this is where I should have been when I was 21, not 39. But at that point, I felt I had found my career.
Great.
Unfortunately, we did not have the chiropractic philosophy that some campuses like Sherman has, and perhaps Life West. And so I took it upon myself to study chiropractic philosophy. And so there's a few of us who actually got into chiropractic philosophy on campus, and that's how I learned about the green books and read all the green books.
Perfect. And Liam, so Bryn came up with this question for you, but it's a great one, and I'm interested in it too. Now you progressed throughout your career. You had a high volume of practice members in your office, over 1,000 a week, but you now are just speaking and moving the profession forward, and you sort of moved on from practice. Do you ever miss those days of just getting into the office and adjusting people all day long?
I absolutely do. I can tell you this. I made, about a year ago, I made a trip down to Columbia. We inaugurated a new center in Central Chiropractic Schubel in Columbia. And I got down there, and I have to tell you, I saw the same potential in that country a country just waiting for somebody to step up and lead and say, this thing, chiropractic, is going to liberate the potential of this planet, and we're here in Colombia. And I got to tell you, I'm 43 years old. I was like, I wish I was 27 and out of school again, because it reminded me of Peru. When I went to Peru, in 1996. It was the same thing. I got there and I would say Chiropractica, right? The taxi driver would say, "What is it that you do?" "I'm a Chiropractico." And they thought I was saying like chiromancia, like I read palms, or I did something like that. No idea what it is. Now if you go to Peru and you say, "Hey, do you ever hear of chiropractic?" "Yeah." "You go to Schubel?" Like this kind of thing. So we created that environment over 15, 20 years. And I saw the same thing in Colombia, this tremendous amount of potential, but just lacking leaders that could take this principle to the people of Colombia and start to light up. And I really said, "Oh, I wish I could be here and be part of this evolution."
Yeah.
But we're going to leave that for the next generation, I guess.
Yeah.
We have another question coming in from Twitter. Dr. Mark Swerdlick.
The Dark Lord.
Swerdlick wants Liam to talk a little bit about his book. Yeah. Okay. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to wrap up this session, guys. Thank you so much for coming by. Liam, are you going to chit chat with Ed about Sherman College, or do you want?
I can do that. I'm here to serve.
Perfect.
I'm here to serve.
So Bryn, why don't we excuse ourselves and for this section, and Liam and Ed Cordero are going to talk about Sherman College, and that's going to be excellent. It's going to. I've been waiting all day to hear this.
Yes.
But they'll be talking in Spanish now.
Well,
won't
you can
they?
talk English and whatever you like to do,
Okay.
but just share. You take it over from here with Ed.
All right, but I do think it is vitally important to address Dr. Swerdlick and his question
And
about the
his
book.
book, of course.
My book, as you know, is it's a smash hit. It's chiropractic. It's called "Cast to be Chiropractors."
Oh, and there's a great quote right on the first site, on the first page, isn't there?
It is. It's a
I've
quote
heard
by
about
myself.
that. Oh, good.
It's the bigger the vision, the bigger the life, and this is what we're talking about with chiropractic world domination. 7 billion people on the planet, and they desperately need chiropractic, and in order for them to get it, we have to, and Dr. Mark Swerdlick is one of the people that's an expert at this.
Yes.
We have to learn how to create value for them, and I'm really excited about Dr. Swerdlick joining up with the IFCO.
Yes.
Did he receive his complimentary signed book yet?
It's on its way. Yeah.
He'll be getting it. And I'm sure
it's a waterproof copy, by the way.
it needs to be for him especially, but I think that's a great great gift for him.
Dr.
I
Mark,
agree.
thanks for giving that question out to us. We really appreciate you using the Twitter feed and